Good afternoon, or what is a very warm, bright and sunny day. It is June the 13th. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue. Unboxing. Now, I've already pulled out several things from here, including the great campaign, the first campaign for Triple X Games Leagues of Adventure role-playing game. Then Malouin, a setting source book for the French role-playing game Shadows of Esteren. Very pretty, and it is two square hexes. Black Pudding issue number 7, the fanzine, drawn and written by James V. West. And lastly is SHIVER Gothic, which is Secrets of Spireholm, a campaign setting for essentially a genre and campaign setting for the SHIVER role-playing game. So let's get this open and find out what we've got. Let me show you this without the plastic on it. So there we go. Get a bit of view of that. So, classic horror reborn. A bolt of lightning splits the sky, illuminating the giant walled city of Spireholm, old, imposing and secluded. Although not always the nicest place to live, relative peace has reigned in Spireholm for as long as its citizens can remember. But beware, the moon rises, shadows grow long, and things are beginning to go bump in the night. Wind howls amongst the rooftops. Monsters stalk the streets, and the walled cities of Spireholm sit on a knife's edge, ready to rip into blood-stained chaos. This book gives you all the tools you need to bring the Gothic stories to life with the award-winning tabletop RPG SHIVER. To pack with an arsenal of monsters, items, rules, settings, stories fit for any fan of Gothic horror, including 7 new monster archetypes for creating your very own personal monstrous characters, players, vampires, werewolves, Van Helsing, and many other classic characters from Gothic horror stories. Explore the city of Spireholm, a giant Gothic sandbox filled with creepy locations and characters to set your tales of terror within its walls. Experience an epic 10-part story filled with macabre mystery, marauding monsters and harrowing horrors, keeping players on the edge of their seats as they peel back the veil of Spireholm secrets, working towards a thrilling conclusion. Filled to the brim with weapons, items, monsters to emulate the tales of classic horror and cinema and literature. Expand the terror with the Doom calendar, a new mechanic designed to link shorter stories together, providing dark consequences for your world. This is published by Parable Games. And SHIVER is a horror role-playing game that so far to date has been best seen as a generic horror role-playing game. It uses its own proprietary dice, 8-sided dice marked with symbols for your brains and your muscle and your will and similar attributes. And characters and genres vary. You have the classic sort of cosmic horror, you have Gothic horror, you have slasher horror. It covers sort of like a gamut of genres. But here we get specific with Gothic. And we open up with a map of Spireholm. And here we've sort of got the symbols you recognise perhaps from the dice. And we've got a forward. And basically just an introduction to the game, or the setting, as I should say, before we have the lengthy table of contents. So this would open up with the player's guide, and here we've got a guide to the symbols on the dice that SHIVER uses. You can also buy an app as well. You can get hold of an app. So, you know, they are grit, wit, smarts, heart, luck, and strange, and they're essentially the Gothic core symbols taken from the SHIVER game. And here we have options for playing as monsters. So, you know, really what we have, role-playing as monsters, as monstrous characters, comparing the light and the dark in your characters to the social outcasts, the inner demons, that sort of thing, addressing them. And in this, we take from classic Gothic horror And it's the same kind of source that you have for League of Adventures to a certain extent, also for the Universal Monsters. So you are literally playing as sort of the Universal Monsters kind of characters. So first off, we start off with the construct, which is the robot, the golem, or the Frankenstein's monster, and have construct basically paths to follow in terms of gaining abilities and improving. So that's it. That's the construct tree, and it's going to do the same again for each of the different monstrous archetypes. The changed, so werewolf, shapeshifters, invisible stalkers, and this again, invisible man, the werewolf, that sort of thing. You know, even every time, kind of taking its cue there from the League of Gentlemen with the artwork. A bit. So the changed tree. And again, you know, so we also have the Mad Genius, which covers Dr. Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, vivisectionists, the Immortal, vampires and cursed warriors, the Lucky Devil, Gremlins, Faustian Fools, Dark Patrons, the Oddly Undead, Skeleton, Ghost of Necromancer, the Slayer, Monster Hunter, Archivist, Soldier. So you can think of this as sort of like as the next best thing to Leagues, the Leagues of Gentlemen kind of style adventure, the Alan Moore stories. We have Gothic backgrounds. And then we get into part 2, the Secrets of Spireholm. Key clues, story text, and then we have a guide to the city itself, known history, life in Spireholm, monstrous costs of living there, factions, Spireholm's districts, and then we basically got a city guide, you know, going through district by district. So city centre, the Divine District, Watch Headquarters, Docks, Wellgren Park. All these locations, sort of like where the adventures will take place. Cemetery Row. And then downtown, Condemned Isle, landmarks, and then we have world locations too. So beyond the walls of Spireholm. And we've got that map again. And so the question is, one of the next things to ask is, the players, who could they be, and reasons for bringing the characters together before we bring things up to date with present day Spireholm. And we have story structure overview, the different chapters, sort of like the campaign, the Doom calendar as the core mechanic behind it all, and here we have essentially the Doom calendar there, literally laid out like a calendar. 30 days of horror, and chapter 1, a mournful howl. So we've got background and options there for the players and the setting, and we're into the first adventure. So we're black market monsters. There's how an NPC is laid out. There's Hannibal Zhao. Interspersed with these really nice pieces of artwork. Drained vampire. veins lead to the heart, and you're basically pushing the story onwards. And then interlude, setting up a sanctuary, the base of operations for the player characters, and then we get to, so for example, they're given there is a watch headquarters. So, clockwork vault. So here's the sort of like the next part, and slightly different themes. You know, you've got a clockwork maze, a much more mechanical kind of feel to this, including clockwork knights, lair of the clockwork queen, the orrery door, so a nice inclusion of an orrery, which is essentially a device for tracking the path of the planets, but as you know, as a mechanical representation of the solar system. Exploring the wider mystery. So you've got this ongoing campaign, you know, hinting at much more going on. Interlude, researching monsters. We've got a map of a vault there. Should I say things like that? And then next chapter is On Strange Tides. Nice nod there, perhaps, to On Stranger Tides, and you know, instructions of what the director knows. And here we're going to see. I wonder whether there are going to be any pirates, because you know, On Stranger Tides. Who knows? Yep, definitely got pirates in there. Got pirates cutlass, pirates pistol. And you know, rules for a boarding hook, grave ghouls, captain's hat, and we meet at last, of course. You basically run into the villain, followed by a carriage chase, followed by a carriage crash, because you can have a chase, you've got to have a crash, got to end it with a bang. Interludes, we have a vampiric lore, exploring that, and then we've got doom events which can happen as a result of the player character's actions, and that's happening at the end of each chapter. We have Spider to the Fly, the next adventure. Basically Red Lantern Lane. Basically just see that in the light. And literally we are taken out to the ship's nest and the spider's nest, one and the same thing. And basically getting into the web tunnel aboard the vessel. Before facing off a load of creepy crawlies, sinking the nest, and the long row home. We have Drake's history, doom events and interlude the mystery, and Yamashin vampires. So actually really quite a lot of detail in here, lots going on. When we have the house on the Howard Hill, and this is presumably going to be a classic haunted house story. Oh yeah, and we kind of got like almost, you know, a gothic house straight out of you know, gothic romances, horror tales, and Americana. And you know, we have Visit to the Rainbow Crypt. We've got a larger cast of characters. Archbishop Orsini, Reverend Thomas, and more. So essentially it's setting up a big haunted house kind of murder mystery kind of action. So which, as I was right, I was quite right, because then it says there's been a murder. So, and you've got a mystery to unravel. At almost, you know, Cluedo-like fashion. And we get the guide to the house itself. So various locations. The killer's revealed, spider's web, exploring the wider mystery, of course, Doom events, and we have the house in the Harry Hill map. I think that's not a particularly interesting map. It's could have been a bit more to it. Interlude, Vampire Genesis, and then next part is Quarantine. So again, we've got quite a big campaign here. So lockdown for the player characters, and then planning an escape. Getting caught up in an arena. Down these unsafe streets the player characters must go. Roaming monsters. Getting on board a trash barge. And then escape to Spireholm, and then Oh Holy Night. Interlude, the Edenian vampires, or the Edenian. The next part is the Reaper's Letter. Mysterious murder of Margot Prowse. So another murder to investigate, the one they're not quite immediately involved in. But it takes them out into the woods, where they found an Exotica greenhouse. So you've got a poison garden in the mix, and the player characters were being hunted. So this is all a very sort of like swamp set, forest set kind of adventure, dealing with things like carnivorous plants. So you have the wilderness unbound, and yes, there is a poison garden. And then at the end we have Doom events, and no interlude here. No, before we get into the Masquerade Falls. This must be getting close to the final part, and getting ready for the party, because probably going to have a ball. Not only a ball, we've got a heist to plan as well. So combine those two at a location. Lady Bulworth as a vampire. A lock or safe lock to get through, and get hold of the Chalice of Legacy. So different areas of this. The Bulworth Mansion, again, not the most interesting set of plans. More Doom events, and then interlude. We have actually a Cardinal Triumvirate. The Divine District. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but basically, presumably the player characters are confronting one of the major power blocks within the city. That has Inquisition offices. So they've got to explore its offices, and its cathedral, and the fall of the High Cloister. There we go. Doom events. Nice illustration of the location. We reach a point of no return for. You've got the Inquisition offices. They're better maps, actually. They're better maps. I'll show you. Sorry, just turn those over. There we go. That's much better maps. They look always like like a spaceship, but they are more interesting maps than have been previously presented in the book. Let's turn it back up the other way. The Sunken Spire. So you've got a descent into a sunken spire, where there are sarcophagi barracks. So, yeah, let's say they're going to be undead there. Vampire soldiers, heart chamber, a record room to investigate, a war room. So now you're facing down against the vampires in the in this section. Hall of Memory, the fall and rise of Fane von Spiria. Presence whose presence presumably has been hanging over the city for centuries. Shrine and throne room to investigate. Encounter with the Crimson Cardinal before the resurrection of Fane von Spiria. 4 stats for her. Guidance for fighting Fane. End events. Doom Clock events to calendar events. And story continues. It lives. Here we are dealing with grave robbers, after hours abductions, wretched rumours, stakeout, the kidnapper. We've got an alleyway chase as well. Another good, exciting chase. This is on the university grounds. So we've got University Hall ruins, Craddock lecture halls. So we have sort of like a resurrectionist kind of hall there. The storm will rise, ready to bring the construct to a life, and so bringing the campaign and setting to a close for the moment. Say, you know, we all have a monster inside of us. Sometimes you just need to let it out. Thank you for reading. That's a nice touch at the end. And I am thoroughly impressed by the look of this. This looks fantastic. You know, you're wanting to play a campaign in which you are a Gothic monster in a city full of Gothic monsters and dangers. Then Shiver Gothic, Secrets of the Spireholm is going to be perfect. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below, and of course if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.